Hello everybody and welcome to another Total War Warhammer Battles video. This time we are taking on the Chaos host of Archaon the Everchosen. Yes, the looming Armageddon that is always threatening your grand campaign progress, right? So, this battle actually occurred because no one was doing anything about this guy and I was busy tied up with the vampire counts for a while. I decided to make a couple of grand armies essentially to go take on the Chaos Hordes themselves. Because at least of the version I'm playing of the game, your allies are pretty sketch mode. It's kind of difficult to get them together to actually fight a battle well. But fortunately for the world, and unfortunately for the brave dwarves who give their lives here today, we're able to completely shatter these armies so that eventually, like 2 turns later, a couple of allied armies are able to absolutely destroy these forces. But unfortunately, yeah, there's the hell cannons. By that point, I'd lost all my forces fighting Archaon and Kotek's Sunbreaker, or Sun Eater, who I'm not sure if he's out here on the field. I don't think he was reinforcing. I think Sigwald was out here. This pompous ass. Slaneshi warrior. And then they had some rando Calrissian Chaos Lord on a Manticore. So obviously we have a pretty good position up here. Gonna have to basically fight up the mountains to come get us, and then we have a small flanking force on the right with a couple lords, Rune Lord, Axe Lord. Looks like we got mainly Longbeards, yeah, in these forces. So the crazy thing about these battles, unfortunately, I lose all the forces that were with me since the beginning of the campaign, because it's just absolutely brutal fighting. And Chaos Warriors are no slouches for sure, so right now I'm waiting on my little right flank over here to get close enough to start maneuvering the rest of the army. Yeah, see, I got some silver fully ranked Thunderers. A lot of my ranged guys are the ones with experience. Oh, there go the hell cannons. Those things are particularly obnoxious. And just like all AI aimed artillery, it's fairly accurate. Couple Chaos War Chariots, another big annoyance. And here comes the Artie. As they funnel themselves through the valley here, between this saddle. Well, I guess they're not peaks, so it's not a saddle, it's just a valley. See what it looks like from their angle. There goes some magic our way. Killing a couple of our crew members. So right here I'm counting on them going for the center line, since technically the only thing the AI can see is this army right here. Their line of sight only providing them view of these guys, and of course these dudes who they saw earlier. And then trying to just flank down the hills into the valley and move these guys forward. And of course, if my Thunders had a better view, they would have been able to mow most of those guys down before they were an issue. That was a mismanagement on my part. But luckily for me, that's largely left these guys unharassed to go ahead and swing that gate down into the valley. Chaos Lord trying to take out my leadership. Here we go. This is where the rubber meets the road. Of course, the whole while I'm not gonna stop my artillery firing into them because one, it's pretty awesome, and the Everchosen's super weak, so this will actually be a huge benefit to us in the long term. Again, and here we go with the cavalry and the chariots being a real pain in the ass to deal with for a Dwarven army. Chaos Spawn charging in, getting flamethrowered to death. Poor miners having to take the brunt of that. Now I got some counter battery fire going against these dudes right here. And oh, I didn't even see this guy earlier. So yeah, as you can see, this is not going to be an easy one. This is where I start to bring my dudes up. Oh my god, so many mounted knights. We got our Thunderers elevated over here to pour fire into the current melee. Our Axe Lord over here is having some fun chasing those guys away. Looks like the Giant's just gonna ignore them. Oh boy. So down in the valleys where the real massacre was happening. But once we took Archaon down, right here, Scumsucker, a lot of it just kind of falls in place for us, even though we still got basically 2 more armies to contend with. And our dudes on the left flank are holding the line. Hacking them to pieces. Because ain't nobody got time for these armored dickholes. So we start to reposition the army out of the valley as far as we can. We start to focus our artillery on this guy. was late to the game getting a Slayer Shrine, which has really hampered my ability to take on giant monsters or large enemies like this. So you won't see them until several videos later, but luckily for us, artillery is just as good as dealing with them as anything else. If I'd had any sense, I'd be pelting them with my bolt throwers, but I'm in the process of repositioning as many of my forces as possible. Our Rune Lord over here. I'm telling these guys to pull back while he's distracted. Of course, Chaos Warriors are tough because they're completely, fully armored, very good in close combat. So you really have to have those thunders in there doing work. This guy's just turning my poor coralers into paste. Even then, they're just now starting to waver after all of that. Let's see if we get another round off on them. Over here, things have settled down a bit. Some repositioning going on. And right now I'm trying to reform my lines as best I can. Unfortunately, though, tons of mounted Chaos Knights, so not much I can do there. And my Axe Lord is still down here by himself, holding off all these guys. That's what I love about the heroes. They really are a fantastic way to just tar pit units for a while. Granted, once they die, you take a pretty good morale hit. But as you can see, here comes the second army, rearing to go with their Hell Cannon support. Just a massive battle overall. Trying to reform the lines. That has gotta hurt. That's right, get down and stay down. I got Thorgrim up in the mix here, fighting Sigvald and this douche on his mana core. Thinks he's hot shit. I'm trying to keep some semblance of order in the line right now until we start to see what it is that these guys are gonna do. Yep, there goes my Axe Lord. Yeah, but the greatest strength this enemy force had was just this amount of mounted Chaos Knights. Really hampered me. We have some pretty elite Longbeards here holding the line with Thorgrim, but I believe he gets wounded here. Along with my my poor Rune Lord. This is where morale goes to absolute trash. But we have more reinforcing units coming in. It's part of that whole staggered reinforcement system that's still in the game, where you don't get the bulk of your armies and, you know, units come in piecemeal. It's actually really annoying. But that's the system we're playing with here. Moving in some dwarf warriors to close in on them from the flanks in the valley. A lot of my artillery crews have taken damage and have dropped their siege weapons. There comes Sigvald, another douche. Luckily, we succeed in our mission of just totally wounding Archaon. But in the process, we took a lot of casualties. If I had any sense, these thunders would be down here just pouring fire into the valley. Though, who knows where my attention was during half this fight. Probably in the awesomeness over here. So obnoxious. I hate cavalry as this army. And of course, these guys who are armed with halberds are particularly good at killing armored units, like my warriors. And there we go. That was the close defeat for one of the larger dwarven throngs that I made, trying to stymie the flow of chaos into the old world. Come back for another follow-up video. This was War Torn Future.